Yeah, back with another one. Goku and DC, Season 3, Episode 2. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to let y'all in the comment section go to the thumbnails that didn't make the cut and see which one y'all like most. Alright, I got 3 for you right here. Alright, so this is thumbnail number 1, thumbnail number 2, and thumbnail number 3. Let me know in the comment section which one y'all like more. 1, 2, or 3. But anyway, Goku and DC Season 3, Episode 2. When poison and acid mix. So let's get to it. The night sky stretched endlessly above Metropolis, its glittering city lights fading into the distance as Goku soared through the clouds. His mind was heavy with guilt, Terra's death, and even Slade's final moments, the way the Titans had looked at him when he walked away. He clenched his fist, the wind whipping against his face. I need to get stronger, he muttered to himself. Strong enough so no one else gets hurt because of me and my failures. His destination, the League of Assassins. If there was one place where he could push himself beyond its limits, it was there. Ra's al Ghul's training had shaped him before, and now, with no distractions, he could focus solely on his personal growth. But just as he veered towards the mountainside, a sharp beat broke his concentration. Goku frowned, slow in midair as he pulled out his communicator. The screen flashed with an incoming call. One who he hadn't expected. Lex Luthor. Goku hesitated. The last time he'd seen Lex, the man had tried to recruit him for some shady anti-superhuman team. Then he tried to kill his brother with a kryptonite suit. And after everything that had happened with the Justice League, trusting Lex felt too risky. Why is he calling me now? The communicator buzzed insistently. Lex's smooth voice crackled through. Goku, I know we've had our differences, but there's a situation. One that requires your unique abilities. Goku's grip tightened. A trap. Lex wasn't exactly known for playing fair with people. But then again, if people were in danger, Lex continued with his tone urgent. I wouldn't reach out unless it was critical. Meet me at LexCorp Tower. Alone. The line went dead. Goku hovered. Torn. Helping Lex felt wrong, but ignoring a potential crisis felt worse. With a sharp exhale, he changed course, rocketing toward the heart of Metropolis. If this was a trick, he thought, with his eyes narrowing, Lex would regret it for sure. The Batwing cut through the night sky, its engines humming as Gotham's jagged skyline loomed ahead. Inside, Batman's fingers danced across the controls, his expression unreadable behind the cowl. Cyborg sat beside him, arms crossed, still simmering from the Justice League's earlier confrontation about Goku. Still think you did the right thing, sending Robin to spy on him. Cyborg muttered, his voice laden with disapproval. Batman didn't even flinch at the words. Goku executed a man in an act of revenge. And that was after Robin had admitted to him privately that he had been spying on him. So yeah, I think it was worth it. Before Cyborg could retort, the Batwing's alert system blared. A priority distress signal from Gotham's east side. Batman's eyes flicked to the screen. Science Division 13, unauthorized breach, classified bioweapon storage. The security feed flashed, revealing a familiar figure, Poison Ivy, her red hair cascading over her shoulders as she strode through the shattered remains of a reinforced vault. Cyborg leaned forward. Ivy? What's she after in a place like that? Batman's jaw tightened. Division 13 houses LexCorp's confiscated alien specimens. If she's here, it's not for plants. It's not for earthly plants. He rerouted the Batwing's trajectory. We're making a detour. Cyborg arched a brow. I thought you were in a hurry to analyze Slade's fight data. Lex's experiments in the wrong hands are a bigger problem, Batman growled. The Batwing descended towards the lab's rooftop, where tendrils of Ivy were already shaking through the vents. Stay sharp. Ivy's not after something specific. Ivy's here after something specific, and most likely dangerous. Cyborg powered up his arm cannon. Well, I guess we'll find out the hard way then. The hatch hitched open, and the two heroes dropped into the darkness that was below. Goku landed on the balcony of LexCorp Tower with a quiet thud, his boots barely making a sound against the polished marble. The glass door slid open, automatically revealing the sleek, modern interior of Lex's office. The billionaire stood near his desk with his hands clasped behind his back, staring out the cityscape as if he had been expecting Goku's arrival at that exact moment. Lex turned, his lips curling into a practiced smile. Goku, it's been too long. Goku didn't return the pleasantries. His arm remained crossed, his expression unreadable but tense. Cut the act, Lex. Why'd you call me here? Lex smile didn't even waver, but his eyes did sharpen. Straight to the point. Always admired that about you. He motioned to the holographic screen that flickered to life beside him, displaying security footage of a dimly lit laboratory. One of my abandoned research facilities in Gotham was broken into last night. The intruder was Poison Ivy. Goku's brow furrowed. Poison Ivy? He'd heard about her. And what'd she want with your old lab? Lex tapped the command into the console, and the footage zoomed in on Ivy standing before a reinforced vault, her vines prying it open with eerie precision. That facility was used to store confiscated alien specimens, remnants of past encounters with extraterrestrial threats. Most of it was harmless, but there was one particular item that was quite volatile. Goku's eyes narrowed. What kind of item? Lex's expression darkened. A seed, not of this world, recovered from the wreckage of an unidentified vessel some years ago. And Ivy took it? Lex nodded grimly. She did. And given her abilities to manipulate plant life, there's no telling what she plans to do with it. If she activates that seed, it could spawn something far worse than any of your usual cretins. Or any of her usual creations. Goku clenched his fist. You expect me to believe you're just now worried about this? After all the shady stuff you've pulled in the past. Lex sighed, feigning regret. I'll admit, my past actions haven't always been noble. But this isn't about me. If that seed germinates, innocent people will surely die, and you're the only one strong enough to stop it before it's too late, or at least the only one that I trust to give the information to. Goku studied Lex's face, searching for deception. The man was a master manipulator, but the urgency that was in his voice felt quite genuine. If there was even a chance Ivy was about to unleash something dangerous, he couldn't ignore it. Fine, Goku said at last. Where is she? Lex's smile returned, and he was satisfied. I'll transmit the last known coordinates to your communicator, but before you go, let me inform you of the specimen's known abilities according to my crew of scientists. Lex steepled his fingers, his expression grave. The seed Ivy stole isn't just some alien plant. It's the embryo of a bioengineered weapon. My deep space research team discovered these organisms a year ago on a derelict vessel drifting near the outer rim of our solar system. They called them the Cyberman. Goku frowned. Cybermen? Lex nodded, pulling up a holographic file. A grotesque, green-skinned humanoid plant creature materialized, bulbous head, white-clawed hands, and glowing red eyes. They're synthetic life forms, designed for one purpose. Destruction, it seems. Individually, they possess strength comparable to a metahuman, capable of tearing through steel like paper. Their claws, mouth, and head can secrete corrosive acid that can melt through nearly any material. And if cornered, the hologram shifted, showing a Cyberman engulfed in a violent explosion, leveling the entire facility. Goku's eyes widened. They blow themselves up? Precisely, Lex said grimly. A single Cyberman self-detonation can knock down a skyscraper if in the right spot. Now imagine an army of them, obedient to a single will. Goku's fist clenched. And Ivy can control plants? Lex's lips thinned. Worse, she doesn't just control them. She communionizes with them. Her powers could override any fail-safes, turning these creatures into loyal soldiers of death. My scientists abandoned the project because the Cybermen were too volatile, too unpredictable. They resisted programming, but Ivy, she wouldn't need to program them. She just whispered to them, and they would be her loyal servants. Goku's stomach twisted. If Ivy unleashed these things on a city, Lex leaned in. You see the problem. If even one seed germinates, she could birth a force that makes Slade's machinations look like child's play. Goku's jaw set. Where is she? Lex tapped a button and coordinates flashed on Goku's communicator. Gotham Botanical Gardens. But hurry. Once those seeds take root, there's no undoing it. But there is a weakness to this organism. They are susceptible to salt water. Without another word, Goku shot through the window, wanting to tell the other League members to alert them. Lex watched him go, and then he smirked. Good luck, my old friend. Batman and Cyborg descended into the building through a shattered skylight, their boots landing lightly on the cracked tile floor. The lab was eerily quiet. The only sounds the distant drip of water and the faint rustle of creeping vines snaking through the vents. Batman's eyes narrowed behind his cowl as he scanned the room. "Stay sharp," he murmured. "Ivy was here, but I think she's gone. And whatever she took, she left in a hurry." Cyborg activated his scanner, his mechanical eye whirring as it swept the area. There's residual heat signatures, recent activity, and some kind of organic residue near the vault. He stepped forward, his arm cannon primed. But as he approached the center of the room, something moved in the shadows. A low guttural hiss echoed through the darkness. Batman's hands instinctively went to his belt, but before he could react, a small hunched figure lunged from the shadows. A grotesque, green-skinned creature with a bulbous head and glowing red eyes, with clawed hands, moved unnaturally fast, its limbs twitching like a marionette on strings. Cyborg barely had time to raise his arm before the creature spat a thick yellowish liquid directly at his chest. The acid struck his metallic plating with a sizzling hiss, eating through the reinforced alloy like it was paper. Sparks erupted as circuits fried, and Cyborg staggered back with a grunt of pain. "Cyborg!" Batman barked, throwing a battering at the creature's head. The projectile struck true, but the Cyberman barely flinched. Instead, it turned its glowing eyes towards Batman and let out a shrill, clicking noise. Cyborg gritted his teeth as his systems flickered. "That thing's acid. It's melting my wiring. I can't." His voice cut off as his left arm went limp, the servos failing. The Cyberman lunged again, claws extended, and Batman barely dodged, rolling to the side as the creature's talons gouged deep furrows into the concrete where he'd stood. He needed a new strategy. This thing was fast, resistant to conventional attacks, and its acid could disable even Cyborg's reinforced body. As the Cyberman coiled for another strike, Batman's mind raced. But then, the creature stopped. The creature stopped its aggression for some reason. Batman turned his case swirling as he moved to assess Cyborg's conditions. The half machine hero was on one knee, his damaged systems flickering. The acid still eating away at his armor plating. Before Batman could finish administering his emergency counter agent from his belt, a rustling of vines drew his attention. Poison Ivy stepped from the shadows, her emerald eyes gleaming with a predatory amusement. "Oh, Batman," she purred, her voice dripping with honeyed venom. "Always rushing in where you don't belong." Batman's hand shot up to his belt, but Ivy was faster. A whip of thorn vines lashed out, snaring his wrists and yanking him forward. He barely had time to react before she closed the distance, her lips pressing against his in a forced kiss. His body stiffened, her pheromones flooded his systems, a dizzying wave of chemical submission crashing over his willpower. His pupils became dilated, his resistance crumbling under her hypnotic control. Ivy pulled back, smirking as Batman stood motionless, his expression slack. "That's better," she murmured, stroking his cheek. "Now, my Dark Knight, you're going to help me welcome the rest of your little Justice League." Behind her, the Cyberman hissed in agreement, his claws twitching eagerly. Ivy gestured, and more of the creatures emerged from the lab's wreckage, some fully grown, others still sprouting from the pulsating seed pods that she had laid behind. She turned to her Cyberman. "Prepare the nest that is within the city." The creatures scuffled into the night, their mission clear: ambush, overwhelm, and detonate. Ivy's finger trailed down Batman's chest. "And you, my pet, you'll make sure they never see it coming." Cyborg was still struggling against his system's failures. He watched in horror as Ivy led Batman away as a puppet in her deadly game. Goku blasted through the night sky in a streak of white energy. His senses stretched to their limits as he searched for the closest energy signature. His mind raced. Lex's warning about the Cyberman, Ivy's theft, and the potential catastrophe if those seeds sprouted. He couldn't afford to waste even a second. Then he felt it, a familiar, powerful aura, strong, steady, and unmistakable. It was Wonder Woman. She stood atop a Gotham rooftop with her lasso coiled at her hip, scanning the streets below as if expecting trouble. Goku descended in a flash, landing hard enough to crack the concrete that was beneath him. Diana turned, her expression shifting from focus to surprise, and then to concern. "Goku," she said, stepping forward, "what are you doing here?" "I heard what happened with Slade. I wanted to reach out sooner, but..." Goku held up a hand, cutting her off. His usual easygoing demeanor was gone, replaced by a sharp urgency. "Diana, we don't have time." Poison Ivy's making a move. She stole something dangerous, really dangerous. I need to warn the League before it's too late. Wonder Woman's brow furrowed. What did she take? Some kind of alien weapon, a living one. Goku's fist clenched. Lex called them Cybermen. They're strong. They spit acid, and they explode when they're cornered. If Ivy gets them under her control... Diana's eyes widened in realization. That's why Batman called me here. Goku froze. Batman? What do you mean? He contacted me an hour ago, she explained. Said he had intel on a potential metahuman threat in Gotham. He wanted me to meet him at these coordinates alone. Goku's stomach dropped. Something wasn't right. Batman wouldn't just call Diana without alerting the rest of the League. Not unless... His senses flared. A flicker of unnatural energy nearby. Tiny skittering wrong. His head snapped toward the shadows. Diana, this is a trap. Before she could respond, a guttural hiss echoed from the darkness. And then the Cyberman attacked. Superman touched down in the abandoned Gotham warehouse district, his cape fluttering behind him as he scanned the area. Batman's message had been urgent. Meet me at these coordinates. No comms, League security compromised. It was unusual, but if Bruce suspected a breach, he wouldn't take chances. The streets were eerily silent. No birds, no distant sirens, just the hum of flickering streetlights. Clark frowned. Something was off. Then he had heard it, a skittering noise, like claws scratching concrete. His super hearing zeroed in on the sound, and his eyes narrowed as he turned toward shadows. A pair of glowing red eyes blinked at him from the darkness, then another and another. Within seconds, the alleyways moved, dozens of hunched green-skinned creatures creeping forward like their bulbous heads twitching, saliva dripping with jagged teeth. Superman's fist clenched. Batman hadn't sent that message. This was a trap. The first Cyberman lunged, claws slashing. Superman dodged, his fist connecting with his skull, only for the creature to explode on impact. The blast sending him skidding backward. More swarmed in, hissing, spitting acid. He took to the air, but they leaped after him, unnaturally fast. One lashed onto his legs, its corrosive saliva trying to eat into his boot. He ripped it off and hurled it into the distance just before it detonated midair. Cyborg groaned as his systems flickered. The Cyberman's acid still corroding his circuitry. His vision blurred, but he forced himself to stay conscious. Batman was compromised, and the League was walking into a trap. With a strange grunt, he activated his failing comm unit, his voice crackling through the Justice League's encrypted channel. All Leaguers. Emergency alert. His voice was ragged but urgent. Batman's been compromised. Poison Ivy's pheromones. She's using them to lure you into ambushes. The creatures have acid spit and are relatively fast. Do not engage alone. The coordinates are... A burst of static cut him off as the systems destabilized further. Cyborg's human side fought against the encroaching darkness, his fingers twitching as he rerouted the power to his vocal modulator. Gotham Botanical Gardens is Ivy's main base. She's breeding them, throughout the city though. His body convulsed as the acid reached a critical junction in his neural interface. With one final surge of effort, he broadcasted the last of his data security footage of Ivy's kiss, the Cyberman's hatching, and Batman's hollow eye compliance. Then with a spark and a hiss, his system shut down entirely, plunging him into unconsciousness. When the message had been sent, across the city, League members' communicators blared with Cyborg's warning. Aquaman stood amidst the wreckage of Gotham's docks, his trident dripping with thick greenish fluid as the last of the Cybermen collapsed at his feet. The creature let out a gurgling hiss before its bulbous head lolled to the side, completely lifeless. Arthur wiped the back of his hand across his cheek, his fingers coming away smeared with blood. His own. The damn thing had gotten a lucky swipe in before he'd impaled it. He exhaled sharply, his grip tightening around the trident shaft. These things were faster than they looked, and their claws were sharper than they had any right to be. Worse, they fought with the mindless ferocity, like rabid animals with no sense of self-preservation. He'd seen one rip its own arm off when it was pinned down by his trident, just to lunge at him again for some type of self-detonation. Then his communicator cracked to life, Cyborg's strained voice cutting through the static. All Leaguers, emergency alert, Batman's been compromised. The whole spiel spoke. Arthur let out a bitter chuckle, shaking his head as the transmission dissolved into static. A little late for that, Victor, he muttered, nudging the dead Cyberman with his boot. He'd already taken down 6 of them on his own. Still, the warning confirmed his suspicions. This wasn't just an isolated attack. It was definitely coordinated. Ivy had turned Batman into some type of puppet, and if she was using him to bait the League, then the others were walking into a slaughterhouse blind. He tapped his earpiece, his voice a low growl. "This is Aquaman." Cyborg's message checked out. "These things are nasty, and they're everywhere. If Ivy's got Batman under her thumb, we need to regroup somewhere now." No response, just dead air. Arthur's jaw clenched. Either comms were being jammed or the others were already in too deep to answer. Either way, he wasn't waiting around. With a flick of his trident, he turned toward the city's heart. He wanted to know how to put an end to this green nightmare. The rooftop trembled as the first Cyberman lunged from the shadows, his claw glinting under the moonlight. Goku's instincts flared. Lex's warning about their acid spit was fresh within his mind. "Diana, shield up now," he barked, diving to the side. Wonder Woman reacted instantly, raising her shield. A golden barrier erupted just as the creature spewed a steam of corrosive yellow liquid. The acid splashed against her magical defense, sizzling violently but failing to penetrate it. "Their spit melts through metal," Goku warned, rolling at his feet. Lex said even Cyborg's armor couldn't take it. Diana's eyes hardened. "Then we don't let them hit us directly." Another Cyberman scuttled along the rooftop's edge, his bulbous head twitching, and then it leaped in the air while Goku's fist poured punching, clean through his chest before it could react. The creature shrieked, then detonated in a burst of greenish fire. The shockwave sent Goku skidding back to the ground, his gi singed. "Oh, right," he muttered, shaking off the pain. "They also can explode." One woman deflected another acid spray, then spun her lasso, whipping out to ensnare two Cybermen mid-leap. She yanked them into each other, just as Goku unleashed a thin, focused ki blade, slicing both in half before they could self-destruct. "They're fast, but they're pretty predictable," Diana noted, kicking a third into a wall. "Yeah, but there's a lot of them," Goku said, sensing more closing in. The skittering of claws echoed from every direction. Dozens of red eyes blinked into life within the darkness. Diana tightened her grip on the lasso. "Then we just don't hold anything back." Goku grinned, cracking his knuckles. "Finally, somebody gets it." Golden light flared as Diana summoned her godly armor's magical aura. Goku's aura ignited, blue energy swirling around him. The Cyberman hissed at them in unison. The rooftop trembled under the weight of the encroaching Cyberman. Cyberman. Their guttural hisses filling the air as they closed in from all sides. Goku and Wonder Woman stood back, their auras flaring. One a brilliant gold, the other a crackling blue, casting long shadows over the battlefield. Diana's lasso snapped out like a whip, ensnaring three Cybermen at once with a powerful yank. She sent them crashing into a fourth, just as Goku unleashed a rapid volley of ki blasts. Each shot precise enough to pierce the creature's skulls before they could detonate. The explosions rocked the rooftop, sending debris flying, but the two warriors moved in perfect sync, shielding each other from the fallout. One Cyberman lunged at Diana from her blind spot, claws dripping with acid. Goku sensed it before she did, his reflexes honed from years of combat. So he pivoted mid-strike, intercepted the creature with a spinning kick that sent it carrying into a water tower. The tower crumpled under the impact, dousing a group of Cybermen in water, and Diana didn't hesitate. The opportunity hurling her shield like a discus, decapitating two before they could recover. But more kept coming. Too many. "We can't keep this up forever," Goku said with gritted teeth as the creatures scrambled on both sides. He called over the chaos. "If these things are all over the city, then the League needs to know." Diana nodded, deflected an acid spray with her bracers. Cyborg's warning mentioned Ivy's base at the Botanical Gardens. "If we rally the others, we can cut this off at the source." Goku blasted a path through the swarm with a wide energy wave, clearing an opening. "Then let's move." In unison, they shot into the sky, Diana's tiara gleaming under the moonlight, Goku's energy trailing behind him like a comet. Below, the Cyberman screeched in frustration. Some tried to leap after them, only to fall short and explode mid-air, shaking the buildings below. As they soared over Gotham's skyline, Goku reached for his communicator, only to find it fried from the earlier acid splashes. Diana's fared no better. "We'll have to find them the old-fashioned way," she said, scanning the streets to signs of battle. Goku clenched his fist. Then we split up. You find Flash and Aquaman. I'll track down Robin and Raven. I'm sure my brother can handle himself for what I'm sensing. We meet at the gardens with whoever's left standing. Diana hesitated for only a second. Splitting up was risky, but time wasn't exactly on their side. Stay alive, Goku. He flashed her a determined grin. Yeah, you too. With that, they streaked off in opposite directions, the fate of the League and the city hanging in the balance. Superman soared above the ruined warehouse district, his cape tattered from relentless Cyberman assault. Below him, the creatures swarmed like locusts, their hisses and screeches filling the air as they leaped from crumbling buildings, claws slashing at the air in a frenzy to reach him. He'd already destroyed dozens, but for everyone he vaporized with his heat vision or crushed with his fist, two more seemed to take their place. Enough! He needed to end this fast. Dodging another lunge, Superman inhaled deeply, his chest expanding as he tapped into the frigid depths of his Kryptonian biology. The Cybermen lunged, their bulbous eyes glowing with mindless aggression just as he exhaled. A torrent of super-coated air erupted from his lips. A blizzard in concentrated form. The temperature plummeted instantly. The Cybermen's twitching limbs locked mid-leap, their green flesh crystallizing into jagged ice. The wave of frost expanded outward, freezing the creatures solid where they stood, their hisses cut short as their bodies turned to statues. Icicles formed on their claws. Superman's frost breath had brought him a moment of respite. Or so he thought. The Cybermen stood frozen in grotesque poses, their twisted limbs locked in ice, their bulbous heads encased in frost. But as he hovered above them, catching his breath, a sickening crap echoed through the ruins. One by one, the creatures began to twitch, their acidic saliva still bubbling from their frozen jaws, starting to eat through the ice from the inside. Tiny fissures spiderwebbed across their frozen bodies as the Cybermen forced their claws free, their red eyes glowing with renewed malice. Superman's eyes widened. Damn, they adapted. Before he could react, the first Cyberman shattered its icy prison entirely, screeching as it launched itself at him. Then another, and another. He dodged the first few, his fists lashing out to pulverize their skulls midair. But for every one he destroyed, two more took its place. They swarmed him like wasps, their claws raking at his skin, their acid spittle sizzling against his cape. He spun, heat vision searing through a cluster of them, but their numbers were overwhelming. Then came the worst. The Cyberman began to cling to him. Dozens of them lashed onto his arms, his legs, his back, their claws digging in like hooks. He roared, trying to shake them off, but their grip was unnatural, their bodies writhing with single-minded purpose. And then they all began to glow at the same time. A sickly green light pulsed beneath their skin as their bodies swelled, their self-destruct mechanisms activating all at once. Superman had just enough time to brace himself before the world erupted in fire. The explosion was cataclysmic, a chain reaction of detonations that turned the air into a blistering shockwave. The warehouse district vanished in a hellish inferno, the ground upheaving as buildings crumbled like sandcastles. Chunks of concrete and steel rained down as the entire block collapsed inward, burying the man of steel under tons of rubble. Smoke billowed into the night sky. Silence, and then a faint, labored groan from beneath the wreckage. Goku touched down in the ruined park, his boots crunching against shattered pavement as Wonder Woman landed on the other side of him. The air was thick with tension. Raven, Aquaman, the Flash, and Robin stood amidst the wreckage. Their expressions were grim. The distant screeches of Cybermen echoed through Gotham streets, a constant reminder that time was of the essence. Robin was the first to speak, his voice tight with urgency. Cyborg's down. Batman's compromised and Superman's MIA. We need to make moves now. Goku nodded, his mind racing. All right, here's the plan. Robin, you need to get to the Batcave and grab an antidote for Ivy's poison. Flash, you're the fastest here, so you take him. The Flash gave a quick salute. All right, I'm on it. Robin hesitated, glancing at Goku. And what about you? I'll meet you at Ivy's lair while the rest of you will go to the Cyberman hive, where I sense where Superman is located. That's where it'll be. Goku said, turning to Aquaman. Lex told me these things can't reproduce if they're exposed to salt water. Can you flood the nest? Aquaman smirked, hefting his trident. Easily. The Gotham Sea is close enough. I can call the tides in. Wonder Woman stepped forward. Then Raven and I will hold off any stragglers while Arthur purges the hive. Raven's eyes glows faintly beneath her hood. If they're plant-based, my magic might disrupt them even further. Goku clenched his fist, feeling the weight of the battle ahead. Good. I'm going to Ivy's hideout. If Batman's still under her control, we'll need a distraction while they retrieve the cure. Robin gave a sharp nod. Good call. If Ivy's using Batman as bait, she won't keep him alive once she's done with him. With that, the Flash grabbed Robin and vanished in a streak of lightning. Aquaman turned toward the harbor, raising his trident as the waters began to churn in response, and Wonder Woman and Raven began to travel to the hive's location that Goku had gave them. Goku took a deep breath, still maintaining his leadership from when he was a Titan, and then he blasted off into the sky. The fight wasn't over yet, and if Ivy thought she could have already won, she was about to learn just how wrong she really was. Goku landed in the heart of the Gotham Botanical Gardens, his boots sinking slightly into the overgrown foliage. The air was thick with scent of blooming flowers that were unnaturally sweet, almost intoxicating. Vines slithered across the ground like serpents, and the trees seemed to lean in as if they were watching him. From the shadows, a sultry voice purred. So the monkey has come to play in the jungle. I suppose that's his natural habitat. Poison Ivy stepped into the moonlight, her pale white skin glistening. Her crimson lips curled into a smirk, her green eyes gleamed with amusement as she studied Goku, her fingers trailing along a vine like as if it was a lover's caress. Goku scratched his head, unfazed by her taunt. Hey, do you get bad allergies or something? All this pollen would probably make anybody sneeze. Ivy blinked. A single incredulous sweat drop rolled down her temple. What? She hissed, her smirk faltering. I mean, it's really thick in here, Goku continued, waving a hand in front of his face, as if he was John Cena. Kinda hard to breathe. You ever think about, I don't know, opening a window? Ivy's eye began to twitch. Here she was, a goddess of the green, a feared eco-terrorist. And this buffoon was here talking about allergies. You insolent little... She snarled, raising her hands. The garden rippled in response, vines lashing out like whips. Let's see how funny you are when my children rip you apart. Goku grinned, rolling his shoulders. Finally. I was starting to think you just wanted a date or something. And I'll be honest, you seem kind of crazy. Goku smirked as Ivy's vines lashed toward him, their thorny links coiling around his arms and legs like living shackles. With the flex of his muscles, he snapped them apart effortlessly. The shredded greenery splattering against the ground. Come on, lady, he teased, dusting off his gi. You're gonna have to do better than that. Ivy's emerald eyes narrowed. Oh, I will. She raised her hands, and the air shimmered with a golden haze, thick perfumed pollen swirling around Goku. Let's see how long you last without being able to breathe. But Goku was already moving, remembering Lex's warning about her pheromones and her powers. He crossed his arms and unleashed a pulse of blue ki, forming a shimmering energy shield around himself. The pollen sizzled against it, unable to penetrate. Nice try, he said. But I fought off worse smells than your flower power perfume. Ivy's composure crackled. You, Goku charged, fist pulled back for a knockout blow until a sharp whir cut through the air. A sonic battery struck his shield, the high-frequency vibrations disrupting his ki barrier because it got rid of his concentration long enough for a shadow to drop between them. It was Batman. His eyes were glazed, his movements were stiff, still under Ivy's control. He lunged at Goku, smoke pellets exploding at his feet to mask his approach. Aw, come on, Bats, Goku groaned, dodging an electrified batarang. You really gonna make me fight you and the plant lady? Ivy smirked. Oh, this is just the start. The garden itself seemed to pulse as some Cybermen emerged from the foliage, hissing in unison. Goku cracked his knuckles. All right. Guess I'm doing this the hard way. Just as Goku braced himself to take on both Poison Ivy and the mind-controlled Batman, a streak of lightning split through the air. The Flash skidded to a halt beside him, Robin right behind him, the young hero already flipping a small vial of pink-colored antidote between his fingers. Miss us? Flash quipped, grinning. Robin's sharp eyes locked onto Batman. We've got the cure. You handle Ivy. We'll deal with him. Goku smirked. About time you guys showed up. Batman lunged, his movements precise, even under Ivy's control. Robin dodged, rolling under a sweeping kick, and then he tried to trip the Dark Knight, but he already leaped and hurled a batarang at Robin's face, but the Flash got him out of harm's way with his super speed just in time. Wonder Woman, Raven, and Aquaman arrived at the edge of the Cyberman hive, a grotesque pulsating mass of vines and alien biomass that had overtaken Gotham's abandoned subway tunnels. The air reeked of rot and acidic sap, the walls slick with glowing green pods, still birthing new Cybermen. Then, with a thunderous boom, rubble exploded outward as Superman emerged from the wreckage, his suit quite torn and singed, blood tricked from his lip, his eyes burned with determination. Diana rushed forward. Superman, you're alive. Superman wiped his mouth, nodding. Yeah, but those explosions are no joke. Those things pack a punch when they go off all together like that. He glanced at the hive, his jaw tightening. We need to stop this at the source. Aquaman stepped forward, trident in hand. Goku's plan hinges on salt water. These things can't reproduce if they're drenched in it. I'll summon the tides, but it'll take time. The harbor's a half a mile out. Raven's eyes glowed beneath her hood. Then we buy you that time. She raised her hands, dark energy swirling. I'll go inside and collapse the tunnels to bottleneck them from any other exits. Wonder Woman unsheathed her sword, and I'll help you get inside. Superman cracked his knuckles. I'll clear the path to the core. Aquaman planted his trident into the ground, chanting in Atlantean. As the distant roar of the sea answered his call, the water was on its way. Superman's eyes locked onto the towering crimson Cyberman once they were in. Its muscles bulged unnaturally. Its claws were longer and sharper than the others. The creature let out a guttural roll, shaking the tunnel wall as it charged. Clark didn't hesitate. He met the beast head-on, their fists colliding with a shockwave that cracked the ground beneath them. The red Cyberman was strong. Stronger than the rest of his kin, for sure. Strong enough to even make Superman's arm tremble from the impact, even though, of course, he was holding back. A vicious backhand sent Superman skidding across the tunnel floor, his cape tangling around him. He barely had time to roll before the creature was on him again, claws slashing. One grazed his shoulder, even making drawing a thin line of blood. Okay, no holding back. Superman retaliated with a devastating uppercut, launching the monster into the ceiling before it could recover. He rocketed upward, driving his knee into its gut. The Cyberman gagged, acid dripping from its maw, but Superman twisted mid-air, avoiding the spray entirely. The creature recovered faster than expected, tackling him through multiple subway walls. Rubble rained down as they tumbled into the open chamber. Superman broke free with a thunderous punch, then unleashed his heat vision in a sustained beam. The Cyberman screeched as his flesh sizzled, but instead of collapsing completely, it just rolled out of the way. Superman's jaw tightened. This thing was learning. Then a distant rumble. The walls trembled as Aquaman summoned a tidal wave, and it began surging through the tunnels. The red Cyberman hissed, sensing the threat, but Superman smirked at this. Game over. He grabbed the creature and slammed it into a path of oncoming saltwater flood. The Cyberman's final scream was cut short as the ocean swallowed it whole. As Superman battled the red Cyberman deeper in the tunnels, Wonder Woman carved a path through the remaining creatures, her sword flashing in the dim light. Cybermen lunged at her from all sides, their claws dripping with acid. But Diana moved like a tempest, each strike precise, each moment calculated. She severed limbs, clawed torsos, and deflected their corrosive spit with her magical shield. Beside her, Raven hovered above the ground, her dark magic swirling as she erected a massive black barrier around the hive's core. The pulsating mass of veins and alien biomass thrashed against her energy, but she held firm, her eyes glowing with concentration. Go, Raven urged, her voice stained. I'll contain them by collapsing all the exits. If any escape, this city could still be in danger. Diana hesitated for only a second before nodding. Hold them here. I'll make sure Arthur isn't overwhelmed outside. With that, she turned and sprinted back through the tunnels, following the distant roar of rushing water. Aquaman stood at the entrance of the subway, his trident raised as he channeled the might of the Gotham Bay. The tide surged forward, a wall of salt water crashing through the tunnels, dissolving Cyberman pods and drowning the creatures before they could hatch. But the remaining Cybermen weren't going down without a fight. A pack of them had broken off from the main swarm, skittering toward Aquaman with their claws raised. Diana leaped into their path, shield raised. "You will not touch him," she yelled as she cleaved through one of the acid spawns. Meanwhile, the battle raged atop a tower, the city lights flickering below as Goku fought against Poison Ivy and her remaining Cybermen. The rooftop was a war zone. Cracked concrete, smoldering craters, and the hissing of alien plant creatures filled the air. Ivy stood at the center of the chaos, her vines lashing out like whips, forcing Goku to dodge while Cybermen attacked from all sides. One lunged, claw slashing, and Goku barely twisted away before another spat acid at his feet, forcing him to leap back. "You're outnumbered, monkey boy," Ivy taunted, smirking as the Cybermen circled him. "Even you can't fight all of us at once." Goku wiped sweat from his brow, grinning despite the odds. "Yeah? Watch me." He exploded into motion, his fist slamming into a Cyberman's skull before it could detonate, then pivoting to blast another with a key wave. But Ivy wasn't idle. She sent a thick vine, snaking around his ankle, yanking him off balance. A Cyberman took the opening, slashing his arm and drawing some blood. Goku gritted his teeth, channeling his energy into a shockwave that shattered the vine and sent the creatures flying back. But more kept coming. "This is getting annoying," he muttered, eyeing Ivy. "It's time to end this." Below the rooftop, another battle was a blur of motion. Batman, his movements sharp and mechanical under Ivy's control, lashed out with ruthless efficiency. Robin ducked under a sweeping kick, barely avoiding the electrified batarang that followed him. He's faster like this," Robin gritted, rolling to the side as Batman's gauntlets grazed his shoulder. Flash zipped in a crimson streak, feigning left before darting right. Batman's head snapped toward him, but the speedster was already gone, leaving behind a vibrating afterimage. Batman lunged, plunging a batarang into the Phantom, only for it to dissipate into a static vapor. "Now!" Flash shouted. Robin didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, the antidote vial glinting in his hand. Batman twisted, but Flash had already circled behind him, delivering a precise vibration to the pressure point at the base of his skull, just enough to stun him for that millisecond. Robin jammed the needle into Batman's exposed neck and depressed the plunger. Batman's eyes widened. He staggered back, clutching his throat as the pink serum fought off Ivy's toxins. His pupils dilated, the green haze fading as his snarl slackened into confusion. "Robin?" he rasped, voice his own again. Robin exhaled, relieved. "Welcome back, Batman." As the last of the Cybermen lunged toward Aquaman, their claws dripping with corrosive acid, Wonder Woman lunged into their path, her golden shield raised high. The acid splashed against the divine metal, sizzling but failing to penetrate. Diana gritted her teeth, bracing against the impact, then retaliated with a sweeping slash of her sword, cleaving through two of the creatures in one fluid motion. Behind her, Arthur planted his trident into the cracked subway floor, his voice booming as he chanted in Atlantean. The ground trembled in response, not from the hive's pulsations, but from the distant roar of the Gotham Bay that was answering his call. The walls shuddered as the first surge of salt water exploded through the tunnels, a frothing tidal wave rushing toward them. Diana didn't let up. She spun her shield, deflecting another acid spray, then drove her blade through a Cyberman's chest before it could detonate. "Arthur, hurry," she urged, kicking another creature into the path of the oncoming flood. The water hit like a hammer. The Cybermen shrieked as the salt water drenched them, their bulbous bodies writhing as the alien plant matter dissolved on contact. The hive's core, a grotesque, pulsing mass of vines and pods, convulsed as the salt water seeped into the roots. The seed sacs withered mid-birth. Aquaman stood firm, his trident glowing as he channeled the ocean's might, ensuring every tunnel was flooded. Diana shielded him until the last Cyberman collapsed into sludge, the hive's death throes echoing through the drowned ruins. Panting, she lowered her shield. "It's done." Arthur nodded grimly. "Yeah. Hopefully Goku takes out the queen of all this chaos." The rooftop trembled as the last of Ivy's Cybermen screeched in unison, their bulbous bodies swelling with sickly green light. Goku's instincts screamed, "Damn, they're gonna blow." With no time to dodge, he crossed his arms and unleashed the surge of ki pouring massive amounts of his energy in, forming a shimmering blue energy dome around himself just as the creatures detonated. The explosion rocked the building, a chain reaction of concussive force that shattered windows blocks away. The shockwave ripped through the rooftop, sending chunks of concrete and steel flying. Goku gritted his teeth as his shield strained under the pressure, cracks spider webbing across its surface, but it held, just barely. When the smoke cleared, Goku stood amidst the wreckage, his gi singed, his arms trembling from the effort, and he was out of breath, but he was alive. Poison Ivy, however, wasn't so lucky. The blast had hurled her off the rooftop's edge, and for a split second, time seemed to slow. As she flowed in mid-air with her emerald eyes wide with terror, there were no vines to catch her, no control, just the cold realization that she was falling, and no one was there to save her. Well, except for her opponent that was seeing everything happen. Poison Ivy's scream tore through the night as she plummeted toward the pavement, her arms flailing helplessly. The wind whipped past her face, the ground rushing up to meet her. There were no vines to catch her, no backup plan. For the first time in years, she was truly powerless. This is it, she thought, squeezing her eyes shut. After everything, I'm going to die like this. And then, impact. But not the bone-shattering, skull-crushing kind. Instead, strong arms wrapped around her, cradling her mid-fall, before landing with a gentle thud on the street below. Ivy's eyes flew open, and she found herself staring up at Goku's grinning face. Whoa there, lady, he said, setting her down carefully. You gotta be more careful. Next time, you'll be the one feeding the plants underground when they bury you. Ivy blinked, stunned. The joke barely even registered. He saved her? After everything? Around them, police sirens wailed as officers swarmed in, guns trained on her. Goku stepped back, hands raised in a mock surrender as cops rushed forward to cuff her. Ivy didn't resist. She just stared at Goku with her lips parted in disbelief. You could have let me die, she whispered. Goku shrugged, already walking away. Nah, that's not how I was raised. And just like that, he was gone, leaving Ivy to face justice, her mind still reeling. The last thing she saw was his silhouette vanishing into the night, leaving her with a question that would haunt her long after her cell door slammed shut. But why? The building was quiet now, the chaos of battle replaced by the distant wail of sirens and the hum of emergency responders below. Batman stepped forward, his cape billowing slightly in the night wind as he regarded Goku with an unreadable expression. The young Saiyan stood with his arms crossed, his usual easygoing demeanor replaced by something that was more guarded. You saved Gotham, Batman acknowledged, his voice low and measured. And you spared Ivy when you didn't have to. That counts for something. Goku shrugged his gaze, drifting toward the city skyline. I didn't do it for credit. People were in trouble, and that's all that mattered. A beat of silence passed between them, heavy and with unspoken tension. Then Batman's voice hardened. But I haven't forgotten what you did to Slade. Vengeance isn't justice. Goku's jaw tightened. He turned to face Batman fully, his dark eyes unwavering. And I haven't forgotten that either. And I'm not sorry. Batman's frown deepened. That's the problem. You don't even see the line you crossed. Maybe not, Goku admitted. But that's fine with me. Because I'm done playing superhero. It was never my calling anyway. And I'll leave you with these words. You don't trust me? Fine. But remember this. I'm not your enemy. Before Batman could even respond, Goku's aura flared to life, blue energy crackling around him with one last look. He shot into the sky, leaving the Dark Knight standing alone in the shadows. Batman watched him go, the weight of Goku's words settling in. And that'll be the end of this episode, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. It's probably a long one. How long was it? See how long it was. Oh, yeah, while I'm saying that, be sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, it was about 50 minutes. Like, comment, subscribe, man. I'm 40 subscribers away from 1,000, man. Let's run that up. But anyway, man, peace.